Charlie Hunnam plays Ed Gein in Netflix's Monster. See the first images from the story that inspired iconic horror movies. Netflix just dropped the first images from the next installment of its controversial serial killer anthology series. Monster, the Ed Gein story, stars Charlie Hunnam as the titular murderer, and his story is as macabre as they come. It's so dark, in fact, that in addition to inspiring the Ryan Murphy-produced season, Gein's life has also inspired some of the most iconic horror films of all time. The logline for the new Netflix season, per The Hollywood Reporter, teases that the upcoming show will explore Gein's influence on the genre and the world's fascination with serial killers in general. Driven by isolation, psychosis, and an all-consuming obsession with his mother, Gein's perverse crimes birthed a new kind of monster that would haunt Hollywood for decades, the logline reads. It says that Gein's legacy gave birth to fictional monsters born in his image and ignited a cultural obsession with the criminally deviant. Ed Gein didn't just influence a genre, the logline concludes. He became the blueprint for modern horror. This installment follows the first two seasons, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, which premiered in September 2022, starring Evan Peters, and Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, released in September 2024, continuing Netflix's true crime anthology trend. So how did Gein go from man to myth? Here's what to know. The Ed Gein story. Gein was born in 1906 and grew up in Wisconsin, the son of a deeply religious mother, Augusta, and an alcoholic father, George. Augusta kept Gein and his older brother Henry at home in their farmhouse in Plainfield, Wis, and often preached about the dangers of alcohol and women. Gein became obsessed with his mother, and when she died in 1945, he lost his grip on reality. Though Gein has reached pop culture status as a prolific killer, he only confessed to killing two people, Mary Hogan in 1954 and Bernice Worden in 1957, both of whom resembled his late mother. He was only convicted of Worden's murder. Gein is also suspected of killing at least 7 more people, including possibly his brother, who died in 1944 under mysterious circumstances after a fire. But Gein is most notorious for his actions as a grave robber. Around the time of the killings, Gein desecrated multiple corpses. He exhumed bodies from local cemeteries and used body parts to create furniture and face masks, earning Gein the nickname the Butcher of Plainfield. He also created a woman suit out of the skin of corpses. Gein never went to prison for his actions. In 1958, he entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity and was found unfit to stand trial after being diagnosed with schizophrenia. Instead, he was committed to Central State Hospital. A decade later, he was determined fit to stand trial, where he was found guilty of killing Worden. But since he was deemed insane at the time of the murder, he returned to Central State Hospital, where he quietly remained until he died of lung cancer in 1984 at the age of 77. How Ed Gein inspired horror movies. Multiple films were inspired by Gein's life, including the 2000 biopic Ed Gein and 2007's Ed Gein, the Butcher of Plainfield. However, some of the most iconic horror films of all time borrowed bits of this killer's story to craft on-screen murderers.